Hello, thank you for joining us on another Sunday interview program. My name is Franklin Tembo Jr. The cost of constructing toll plazas has been disputed by some members of the public. This has led to speculation from various sources, including the mushrooming of unverified news sources, which has spread to the Ministry of Housing and Infrastructure Development. And the ministry is at pains trying to quench what has been so far spread, which is being referred to as falsehood. Questions such as the cost of constructing the Michael Chirufya Sata Toll Plaza, the awarding and single sourcing of intelligent mobility solutions, among many others, questions that will be posing to the Minister of Housing and Infrastructure Development, Honorable Ronald CHITOTELA. Thank you for coming on Sunday interview.
Thank you so much, Franklin. Good evening, and good evening, Zambian viewers.
It's a question that I'm sure you come across. Many are complaining that the cost of traveling has suddenly become so high. Are you under pressure to reduce the cost for motorists on Zambian roads?
Thank you, Franklin. And when people refer to the cost, we need to remind each other. Just 2 years or 5 years ago, I think I used to see vehicles in Emersdale, in Avondale, in Kabulonga, in Longwekers, in Mandevu, in Chawama, in Karingaringa, in Mutendere, residents of Lusaka complaining that the living standard in Zambia has become very expensive because the cost of maintaining motor vehicles were skyrocketing because of the bad road network. And the people were crying for the maintenance of the roads. I think this prompted then the MMD government in 2010-2011 to embark on the first program, which they were calling Formula One road projects, which did not last longer. Because when we are talking about costs of traveling, we must understand that the cost of movement pushes the cost of goods and services high, because whatever a transporter moves on our road affects the final product which the consumer also gets. And when our people are complaining, we need to put things into context and into perspective. Franklin, road infrastructure world over is classified as a catalyst or a precursor for economic growth. Our friends in China, they say you build a road, you attract economic activities. And we need to agree that if we are to grow the Zambian economy, we need to invest in infrastructure development. And if you've checked economic books and the economic theories, do not usually agree. But at one point, all the economies of this world have agreed is infrastructure development is a precursor for the growth in the economy. Our people may forget that we are borrowing, as they are saying, in terms of investing in infrastructure development. And for us, after we invest, the key question we need to ask ourselves and provide a genuine answer is, how sustainable will this infrastructure we are putting up will be? How are we going to sustain this infrastructure in the next 5, 10, 20 years from now?
Should you
are
do
we
that?
Going to borrow? I want to come to, are we going to borrow for us to maintain this infrastructure that we are putting up for ourselves so that we continue burdening the future generation, or we need to create sustainable economic activities for us to continue maintaining this infrastructure for the good of the generation to come and for the good of our future?
Should you now punish today's motorists?
We are not punishing them. If you are referring to the use of the contribution, which is the toll fees, the toll charges are fees paid by the user upon using our facility. When you are driving in Lusaka, you will not pay for toll fees because in Lusaka we have not provided for any toll facility. And the law is very clear. It empowers the minister responsible for the roads to certify and mention a toll road and gazette a point of tolling. And I would want to share to the Zambian people that in the SI which I signed, I identified trunk roads, and in certain portions of the road as toll points.
And those are the ones you're calling,
only be able to
those are the ones you're referring to as our facility?
Yes.
What, I'm lost. What does that mean? What our facility?
The toll facilities, the toll gates.
You're putting them in front of my path. I'm going to Ndola. I don't have an alternative.
You need your government to provide for the road. And when I say the roads belongs to all of us, that's why I'm referring to them as ours. They are not President Edgar Chagwa's wrong roads. They are not for Honorable CHITOTELA's roads. They are for Zambians. And the same Zambians needs to maintain those roads. And how are we going to maintain the roads if we cannot contribute for using the roads that we have put for ourselves? As a government, we came up and the law was passed in Parliament to identify tolling as a sustainable financing for road maintenance, road rehabilitation, and road construction.
This is in addition to complaints about too many taxes that the Zambian is having to deal with.
What taxes? You need to remind me that, look, yes, we really understand as a Zambian people, we are coming from a background where, even as a citizen, we believe that we need to be supported. We need to be given handouts. We cannot participate in the growth of the economy, and that we need to start changing our mindset and beginning to own the process. We need to understand that for Zambian economy to grow, it must be fully owned by Zambians. If we are to claim the true independence, that truly we got our political independence in 1964, we cannot continue to be economically dependent on donor countries. We need to begin generating resources within our nation. We need to build internal capacity so that we are able to control our own future. We are able to control our own development agenda. Then you can go to your neighbor and you say, okay, I've managed to raise so much. I need you to help me so that I can achieve these programs that I have set for myself. You can't go to the neighbor with the empty hands and said, I want to build a house. You have not even started anything. So as a nation, we need to create internal capacity to say, yes, we have the following ways and means of raising internal resources.
And I'm also sure that many people have a problem with government raising money. People have a problem with the cost of moving on the Zambian roads. Why does it look like it's something that you're doing in a hurry?
We started this program in 2013. We started with the ports of entry and the web bridges, and we agreed that we will roll out this program so that it becomes a contributory participatory program where everybody is participating. And you can agree with me that from 2016, when we revised the toll fees, we have not, and we do not intend to revise them upwards. And if you make a comparison, if where we have put the toll facilities, which are commonly referred to as toll gates, the people that are living within that area, a radius of 10 kilometers, we have given them what we call local user discount. They can only be able to pay 2 kwacha per day or 50 kwacha per month. And then some of our people who use our toll facilities, if you pass at one toll facility for more than 11 times in the month, you qualify for the what we call the frequent user discount. Then you will be entitled to a 75% discount. If it is 20 kwacha, you will only be able to pay 5 kwacha for the remainder of that period. So we understand that we need to cushion the cost of our people traveling. And of course, you need to understand that the trucking business, the transportation business, that these truckers that come to transport and all our copper are the major contributors to the deformity on our roads. They contribute greatly to the damage that our roads experience. And at the end of the day, we'll go back and continue burdening Zambians to say we need to go and borrow money so that we can maintain the roads.
Right.
Because the same Zambians will be crying. And I want to remind you, in Franklin, that if you were there in 1990, 1991, during the change of the government from UNIP to MMD, one of the campaign strong message MMD were using. You remember that car driving and the parts are falling, driving on the potholed roads, the road that was eaten. And the people were crying to say, we cannot have a country like we are coming from the water on, or we have been in we have not had leadership to provide solutions to the challenges that Zambians are facing. And that's why Zambians out there are very much happy with the leadership of Patriotic Front under President Lungu, because we are responding to the cries of the people. And as we are responding, we have a very small economy. Zambia is a very tiny economy.
And for that reason, many
so
are
we
questioning.
need to grow the economy.
And it's true. And for that reason, many are questioning if it's recognized that this is a small economy. It means that it has to be efficient. It must be reflecting cost effectiveness in how it contracts works, for example. Let's look at the Michael Chilufya Sata target. Many feel that its cost is exaggerated.
Thank you.
4.3 million kwacha?
Thank you. Before I respond to Michael Chilufya Sata, whose details I adequately addressed in Parliament on Thursday, I want to speak to the small economy. And when you realize you have a problem as a government, you need to provide solution. And we know that Zambian economy is very small. We can't continue crying and say we have a small economy. We need to provide solutions so that our economy begins to grow. What do you do for you to begin growing the economy? You begin investing in the primary requirement, the catalyst that will spark growth in the economy, so that you broaden your economy, you grow your economy, you increase economic activities so that Zambians begin participating. That is the only way you can fight in poverty. And where I come from, we say,
to the Michael Sata.
I am coming to Michael Chilufya Sata. And where I come from, we say, Insala nindi minwa tempu. Meaning, when you are hungry, you must go out in the field and work. You must not continue begging from your neighbors, because if you continue, you will not be respected. Even the next year and the other year, you are going to beg.
The Zambians are begging for the cost.
And that's why I'm coming.
Of that,
Michael Chilufya Sata toll plaza constructed at $4.3 million with various facilities.
That's like 50 million kwacha.
No.
Or somewhere close to that.
By the time when we were procuring, the exchange rate was at 9 kwacha per dollar, translating to about 39 million kwacha. And
at the time, okay.
Yes, at a time. And a lot of people have said, no, you can build a toll plaza at $500,000. And I've challenged them, even in Parliament. I did challenge them that if you can come with the specific BOQ, specific designs like Michael Chilufya Sata, and then you build a toll plaza at $500,000, just mention one country in the region and that toll plaza. Franklin Jr., I am ready, because I've even told RDA, I'm ready to step down that we have betrayed Zambian people. That $500,000, you can't even buy the software for you to propel the toll plaza like Michael Chilufya Sata. We did a survey. We checked local, regionally, and internationally. A toll plaza on the dual carriageway in America, it is costing $12 million.
Is that a fact?
It's a fact. You can Google. Anybody can Google. You know, research has been simplified. It has been made very easy. In Mutere, is it Mutere in Zimbabwe? A toll plaza like the one we built on the Chongwe toll plaza at $1.7 million. In Zimbabwe, they built it at $2 million. So I want us to do a cost comparison analysis. You are talking about Michael Chilufya Sata, which spans on the two dual carriageways. I want any Zambian to challenge me, and that's why I challenge my colleagues in Parliament from UPND that we built Michael Chilufya Sata at around 39 million kwacha, while Manyumbi Toll Plaza, which is a span on one lane, on one road, built by who was a UPND candidate in Nangoma constituency, Nzof Transport, at a cost of 48 million kwacha. It is this government that came to terminate after I could not finish on time. And the cost justification for Michael Chirufyasata. And this I made because they were demanding, and Zambians have been demanding for the BOQ.
And these are verifiable.
You can go to RD, and what I did on Thursday in Parliament, I even laid on the table the BOQ, the Bureau of Quantity, so that members of Parliament can go through, Zambians can have access and interrogate. And I think that's why even His Excellency the President has complained against the laissez-faire attitude by the Engineering Institution of Zambia, because they are the professionals. If they could be as proactive as the Economic Association of Zambia is, to come to the Zambian people and explain, because I saw uncomparable where Zambians were comparing a residency to a toll plaza which has sophisticated equipment. I want to speak to this that when you check the civil works at that toll plaza at Michael Chirufyasata costed us about $1.9 million. Civil works, including everything. If you see a rigid pavement and buildings, those buildings you are seeing costed us $707,000. Tolling system, booth and equipment, it costed us $161,700. If you check power supply and related installation, which company supplies power? I'm coming to that, ZESCO. $270,537. Signal lighting for the traffic control, it's about $59,000. Design fees, it costed us $95,000. Surveillance system, $143,000. The preliminary works and generals, $319,000. VAT, value added tax, because without VAT, that toll plaza was costing us less than $4 million. It was about $3.7 million. $602,000. Contingents, 100. And I think I must explain that if the Engineering Institution of Zambia were as proactive as the Economic Association.
Now you're going to blame the the Engineering
These
Association.
These are the colleagues whom Haradie contracted to do the designs. Before Haradie could move on site to build, they appointed an independent
consultant. Shouldn't your ministry be the one to lead in this?
I am the minister responsible.
Public information.
Yes, I am the minister responsible for Engineering Institution of Zambia, and that's why I'm challenging them to rise to the occasion.
After people have cried, after people have speculated, after people have come up with their own costs. I have been speaking to them, and it is good that you are helping me to remind them that if my colleagues from the Engineering Institution of Zambia has been as proactive as I've been speaking to them as a minister, I've been speaking to them in private, but now I need to tell the Zambian people that I've been speaking to them. Well, they're reluctant. And do they agree with the figures?
They are the ones. Maybe I want to tell you that the company that RDA appointed, independent consultant, they came up with the engineering estimates to construct Michael Chirufyasata at $6.6 million.
You're suggesting it was higher?
And I'm not suggesting. I'm giving facts to the Zambian people. A consulting engineer appointed by road development agencies, because before you embark on the construction of anything, we do the detailed designs that are done by the independent engineering institute. And then the road development agents, they floated tenders to invite engineers, engineering institutions to do
so there was a higher
detailed design. The company that road development engaged submitted engineering designs that for us to do a toll plaza on that span, including the materials, it will cost us $6.6 million. RDA went to tender, and the company that was awarded costed us without VAT at $3.7 million. With VAT, it went to $4.3 million. That entails road development agents had even a saving of $2.3 million against the engineer's estimate. And I think Zambians must be able to commend road development agents where they've done well.
So why are you firefighting? Why are you responding when you have such information? What are you hiding?
We are not firefighting.
Are you hiding something?
Nothing. And that's why I said when the people question and what necessitating government to respond is because members of parliament raised the point of order. And the speaker directed me, the minister, to issue a statement in parliament. If you've seen the way I have been operating in the ministry, I don't respond to social media. The people who speak, I'll pretend I have not heard. Because as government, you cannot be working based on the perceptions, on assumptions, and on falsehood, and on misinformation, as well described by the American president, that fake news. Now we have a situation where there could be some unpatriotic citizen within government system who are misleading the general public and our friends in the opposition.
But isn't
they'll
that
pick a raw information without verifying, pass it on to the opposition with a view of causing paralysis in government operations.
And if
and
you're
that's
not
why
responding,
even in parliament I've said we will not tolerate unpatriotic citizen, bad elements that wants to cause paralysis in government operations. If you ignore
social media, isn't that at your own peril?
Look,
if you're not going to give facts
as government,
as compared to alternative facts, as the phrase continues to grow, isn't that bad for government? Isn't that bad for you?
It is not alternative facts. It's false information. It is fake news. If you cook up some figures and then you pass it on to somebody to go and speak about it, you are not even making the person who are speaking against unpopular. You are making that person who are giving false information to be then trustworthy in the public, because the truth will come. Look, here is the situation. Those of our brothers who are running with the false information, who are misleading Zambians, that today government has made the records straight, and we have even rendered, including the BOQ, we have rendered it in parliament, and the people of Zambia now all have access to the facts. Whom are they going to lose in confidence in? Are those people who are driving the false information, so that even when they will have facts, Zambian people will say, these are liars. That's why as leaders and as citizens, before you take any news out to the public, you need to verify. I need to have
but how can they verify
evidence?
How can they verify if the people with information are not coming up proactively?
How do you go out? Are you telling me that whatever business government enters in, they are going to announce that we do this? You don't govern like that. It is up to those people who are receiving wrong information, because
the public has a right to know what you're doing. You are working. You are
the public has a right to know.
People.
Yes, the public.
Should you wait for some fake news, some distorted information before you respond?
The question you've said very well. The public has a right to know correct and factual information. Why should the people be the messengers of false information to the public? Why should you accept you to be used to pass on false information?
But why don't you put truth ahead of what is false?
The question is, would you be able to know that today,
if it comes from you as the minister, who is
going
to doubt you if you are ahead of what is fake?
I want you to answer me. How would you know that today Franklin Tembo Jr. is going to create the falsehood against me? For you to tell me that I must do that.
Now you're living in a world of social media and things. You are aware of what is going on. Why are you on the back foot when you are aware? You've got all these figures, you've got all statements. Why are you waiting for something like that to come out before you respond?
Government doesn't operate on perception.
So this will always happen?
No. We need to put a stop to this. We need to teach a sense of duty, a sense of patriotism on citizens that are propelling on false information. And those who are charged to maintain government documents, they must be able to be made accountable that the information they are passing on to the Zambian people, is it a correct information? Is it information for the public consumption? Is it information that is classified? Because everywhere, even at home, There are certain information you share with your wife, and there are certain information you share with your children. You can't just go, even ZNBC, in any organization, you can't just go up and start sharing everything. You need to understand that during the negotiation period, you can't go and say, we are negotiating with the Franklin Tembo Jr. today. We have negotiated on point A, B, C, D. Tomorrow we are going to negotiate on point D, Z. No, you need, after you finish your negotiations, like in the case of my coach, Rufiasat, Toll Plaza, we had advertised and people submitted their bids. A tender document, the procurement process was an open and transparent process. There are people that participated. The biggest problem we have in Zambia, in the procurement process, those that wins, it's a genuine deal. Those that loses, it's a corrupt deal. And that's where you begin questioning. Is it that until the business is given to you, if it is not given to you, then it's a corrupt deal, you start speaking against
and we're going to come to that, because among the other issues, since you touch on it, is the issue of single sourcing, the intelligent mobility solutions.
Who told you with single sourcing?
The Speaker asked you to clarify on that, Mr. Speaker asked you to clarify on that matter.
And I spoke in Parliament.
What is this? Did you single source? Was there single sourcing?
No, and I spoke in Parliament. There is what we call in Zambian laws unsolicited bid. Unsolicited bid is where you are seated. I come to you and said, hey, I can build your house. And then you begin paying me later. And then you, the person who wants to build the house, you say, okay, give me the proposal and see how much it will cost me for you to build me the house. That is what we call unsolicited bid, not single sourcing. When the IMS submitted their unsolicited bid, the law provides that when you receive unsolicited bid, you go to the public for the sake of comparison so that you are not cheated in terms of cost. There was an advert for 1 month, and 3 companies responded. So we had 4 companies that we were evaluating. There was no single sourcing. It was an unsolicited bid. And I think I put that matter to rest in Parliament. I read the facts bare and explained. And that's where I'm saying the biggest problem we have is people believing in falsehood, in misleading information. Without verifying, they start running with this. Under PPP Act, which is chaired by the Minister of Finance, and I've been privileged to be appointed by His Excellency the President as a deputy chair of that council. We received the unsolicited bid, and then later it went to the public, advertised for a period of 30 days as prescribed in the law. Other people competed, and then we sent bids to the technical people to go and evaluate, because those are the ones who understand. Yes, I may understand, but my role as a minister is policy. It is not to evaluate.
Right.
After evaluating, they submitted 2 bids and said, we have seen these 2 as bids that can be able to compete. After further evaluation, they came up with the first bid that was submitted by the ISM. And then later, the Council of Ministers, the PPP Council, gave a conditional approval to road development agents now to allow them to go and negotiate. Now, to go into details, after we allowed the road development agents to go and negotiate, during the negotiation period, the law is very clear. If the contracting authority does not agree with the conditions advanced by the concessionaire, a person that wants to build a house, if you don't agree, you have the power to terminate negotiation. In the process, road development agents and the IMS were negotiating, so they could not agree on certain conditions. Road development agency informed the concessionaire that no, we could not proceed, we are terminating the negotiations, and they wrote to the unit to follow the procedure now, to bring it to the Council of Ministers to put a closure to that subject.
Okay.
Even after road development agents had terminated negotiations with the concessionaire, because of this misinformation, because of the falsehood,
right,
some unpatriotic citizen, and I was laughing yesterday on Thursday in Parliament. I said some people are becoming very unpopular because they keep you on receiving unverified information, and you begin running with it. Now we went with the facts and said, here are the facts.
Right.
They were negotiating, they
Right.
could not agree, and they terminated the negotiations. Now, you've gone further to misinform the Zambian people and said, this government of President Lungu has sold the top plazas. Which top plazas have been sold? No, they've given a private person to manage the top plazas. Now, Zambian people will see that National Road Fund agents will continue managing top plazas on behalf of road development
And
agents.
you're banking on that.
Right, sir.
Many people at this point want to know how much is being made from, and how that money is being used. That's another issue, because you still find, you know, some damaged roads where the top plazas are not as perfect as they should look. The rate at which you're supposed to utilize that, where is that money going? Is it being diverted to other competing needs? How sure should Zambians be that what they're paying for is going back to the roads and maintaining them?
Thank you. And from the time we started touring in Zambia in 2013 to November, we've raised in excess of 2.6 billion kwacha. In excess of 2.6 billion. To date, from January to November, we've raised in excess of 797
Where
million
has that
kwacha.
money gone?
I'm coming to
What
that.
have you used it for?
And from January to November 2018, we've raised in excess of 797 million kwacha. If you check today, I think Zambians are able to tell that we are having perfect. At least we are not there, but we have improved the road network. If there's one thing PF has been credited for, is infrastructure development. President Lungu's delivery and his development agenda on infrastructure is second to none. And that's why even our opponents are not criticizing that President Lungu has not delivered in terms of infrastructure development. The only thing now they are going out with is corruption, tribalism, so that they can cause paralysis in the operation of government, because they know that if we let this team of men and women under the leadership of President Lungu, they will have no message in 2021.
Are you saying there's no corruption in this whole thing? In this
Okay,
whole process?
where I stand,
in this whole
where I stand as the Minister of Housing and Infrastructure
underhand
Development,
methods to get contracts, you're saying
I
there's
have
nothing
even
like that
challenged the
happening.
public. I've even challenged the public that if they are, please bring that information to us, and we'll make sure that those bad elements are dealt with. And I think even the President has said, this corruption standoffs just standing on the ante
Is it affecting?
tarnishing people's reputation.
Is it affecting the ministry or
Look,
the works? Is
look.
there corruption?
If somebody just stands on the ante and shout corruption, corruption, because you are tarnishing people's reputation, and you know those that are accused have no remedy because they can't go and clear themselves. So you need to have substantiated information. You need to have tangible information. When, as a ministry, for the first time in the history of Zambia, I think we deserve to be commended during the transition period from works and supply. We had some staff bad elements whom we identified in accounting department, and one from HR. We fired them for misapplying government funds. And we have challenged. They have said, if it is me, don't go and stand just away, maybe because we are envious, because Honorable CHITOTELA, under the leadership of President Lungu, is delivering, you want to tarnish his reputation. Come or go to the President and say, this is what CHITOTELA is doing. Don't stand on the ante and damage his reputation. If it is RDA, I'm the minister responsible for road development agents. Come to me and whisper. I will waste no time. I'll change.
Let's look at
If
what
it is the board is appointed by the minister, but you don't just you cast a blanket.
you're looking for
statement and
evidence.
said,
You're looking for evidence.
no, the people are corrupt.
complaining,
It
yes.
is like in this deal of the IMS. It is road development agents that was negotiating with the concessionaire, and they saw that the conditions that were being pushed were not favoring the interests of Zambians. They terminated the negotiations. But if you tell me as a minister, then I'm comfortable.
Yes,
If those
on the same lines, because maybe it might not be corruption, but some people might think that it is the feelings that this is not benefiting many Zambians. This is mainly benefiting Chinese contractors.
Who are those Chinese contractors? Tell me, on which project? And what the biggest problem we have is lacking maybe to substantiate. People are seeing Chinese projects that are being implemented. And I've heard to say, no, Zambian government is just paying Chinese. No. The projects like Lusaka 400, Decongestion Lusaka that is being done by the Indians, the airport that is being done by the Chinese, both on the Copper Belt and in Lusaka, the township roads on the Copper Belt, and the Mungu Karabo Road, the Mansal Wing Road, the Kawambo Progoso Road, those are contractor financing. Chinese are coming with their own money. They've just come to government and said, let's sign a loan agreement and a contract. We work for you these road projects, and then you pay us in the future. But maybe Zambians may not have that information. They think this money is coming from the Zambian government, and then they are paying the Chinese. No.
Again, you haven't done a good job
this
there.
Is money.
Have you done a good job there?
I think I have
with
spoken,
this particular type of information.
I have spoken on Sunday interview, and I'm repeating. I have spoken on government forums. I've spoken on private radio station. My PS has appeared. Road development agents has
Why
appeared.
is this message
and
sinking?
Explain that when you see the Avic International building the houses for police, it is money that is coming from the Chinese government, which doesn't even come to Zambia. They'll just say, we'll build you 2,000 houses for the men and women under the Ministry of Home Affairs at this cost. We sign a loan agreement. You pay us after 20 years. Instead of government of the Republic of Zambia paying the housing allowance to men and women in uniform, we begin saving that money. Then in future, we begin liquidating that loan. Zambians will say, no, Chinese are corrupt. Zambians are, the Zambian government is getting this money and paying Chinese. And that's why even in Parliament I've said, we have projects that are under contractor financing. Contractor facilitated initiative. It's where the contractor comes with their own money. And that money doesn't even come to Zambia. The only thing RDA will see is an interim payment certificate, an IPC, signed by the Road Development Agency, passes it to Ministry of Finance, then the Ministry of Finance sends it to the Ministry of the Foreign Affairs in China, and then the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in China sends it to the Ministry of Finance in China to send it to the bank to pay contracting company that is based in China. And that's why His Excellency the President has been emphasizing to say we need 20% subcontracting to the local Zambians, so that some money will come to pay those Zambians that are involved. Some money.
How is satisfactory is that for the Zambians, this 20%? How is it going? You heard there are mixed reactions to it. Is it being well managed? Are you comfortable with?
I cannot say I'm comfortable. It's fairly okay, but we would want it to be better than what it is now.
Why isn't it better than what it is now?
There are three components. One, mindset among Zambians. Two, maybe contractors are taking advantage of the desperate situation of Zambians wanting to have quick money. Number three, we need to continuously engage contractors and building capacity among Zambians. What I refer to as mindset change. You find that you have 100 Zambians that the Road Development Agency has nominated as subcontractors. When they go, others will be given contract to sign. Others will go back to the same Chinese and said, no, I don't want to work. I want money. If it is a subcontracting for 5 million kwacha, give me the 1 million kwacha, you are going to do the work. And that is also affecting us as government.
Are you saying?
It's a fact. It
is
happening.
Are you saying that that is what is happening?
It is a fact. It is happening among some the small contractors. It is happening among the subcontractors.
That Zambians are giving back their...
They are going to sell to the same Chinese.
They're selling their
contracts
back to the
Chinese in preference to man. That is a fact. I have
You're
evidence.
not just embarrassing the Zambians here.
Come on. I have evidence. I'm minister. I have evidence, and some have even engaged them. I have said the desire of government, it is not for you to have money. It is to build the technical capacity. When you are working with those international contractors, there will be skills transfer after they have gone, because you are the ones who are going to continue maintaining these infrastructure. That is one big problem that we need and we are dealing with. And I've engaged the Association of the Medium and Small Contractors to help us sensitize their members. Number two, it is lack of capacity, which we need to build as government. And then number three, there are some contractors who are bad also, who are instigating these small contractors to sell the contracts to them, because they are saying, no, you may delay our project, and then because of desire to have money, they are saying. So we have said we need to deal with these problems holistically. And at times I got tempted. I was telling the PS and the Minister of Finance that if we are to build the capacity, why can't we maybe identify the credible people, we just, in the credible institutions in Zambia, we say maybe in this contract of $200 million, let's identify 10 Zambian companies, we attach them to this. The reaction I received, I said, no, there is a desire of economic emancipation among Zambians. They are going to misunderstand you and said you just want to empower a few people. They would want a lot of them to participate. And my argument even now is, then you are going to have, if it is 20% of 200 million, which is the 40 million kwacha, if you have 100 people, the effect will not be felt because they will be finally distributed among so many. But if you identified companies, Zambian-owned companies with capacity, you give them maybe each $5–10 million to participate.
How long would you think it would take? Shouldn't government then be very deliberate in building this capacity?
But there is a serious opposition among the same Zambians who want, no, if you want to limit it to those that have already established organization who are Zambians, when are we the beginners, are going to establish ourselves? So we have two schools of thought. Those that are already established and those who are coming up. So it is a balancing equation as government. You can't kill completely those who are small who would want to start, and also you need to support those that have already started. So it is an equation we need to deal with, balancing it so that we don't frustrate, because even those who haven't started are Zambians who would want to start.
Honorable Minister,
so we need to build capacity.
As we end, how are you doing with equitable development of road infrastructure in this country?
We have rolled out not just road infrastructure in general. We have rolled out.
Are you balancing the act?
If you go to Southern Province, you will find this government building hospitals. You will find this government building schools. You will find this government of President Lungu building roads. Go to Western Province. You will find this government of President Lungu building schools, the clinics, the hospitals. You find us building roads. You find us building, in fact, Western Province has the highest number of newly created districts, 9. So if you are to talk about district infrastructure, it actually gets the largest chunk in terms of investment in newly created districts.
How many top plazas do you intend to build?
We intend to build 40. I've already signed the SI, and we have identified the roads and the points where the top plazas will be. And we hope by the end of this month, we should be able to go up to 15. Those that will be operational, and the others are at different levels of construction.
And you will give the costs moving forward.
We have been
instead of reacting like this.
We have been giving costs, and
you are reacting here because you've not been giving costs.
No,
are you giving costs with the ones that are coming now?
Why the $4.3 million came up? We gave that cost as a government, but our friends wanted to politic on it because they didn't want to look at.
Is there going to be a top project that's going to be more expensive than this from what is remaining?
Depending on the needs. If we are going to have a 6-lane road, if you are going to have the 18-lane road, then we would require the widened toll plaza with the heavy material, with heavy specifications. So obviously, the cost on the dual carriageway, the cost on the single lane, the cost on the 6 lanes, the cost on the 10 lanes cannot be as a cost on the single lane. So, and we have different classification of the toll plazas. We have simplified one, we have the mechanical one. So there are different specifications, and that is informed by the traffic volume. Michael Chirufyasat alone handles up to 17,000 vehicles in a day. From the time it was commissioned to last week, on that toll plaza alone, we had collected in excess of 7 million kwacha on one toll plaza.
On one toll plaza. Honorable Minister, we have to end it here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
And we'll invite you again for further clarification.
Thank you.
And that's it on Sunday Interview. We've been featuring the Minister of Housing and Infrastructure, Ronald CHITOTELA. Thank you for joining us on Sunday Interview for today. Until next time, I'm Franklin Tambo Jr. Goodbye.